If you are watching this video, then I assume you have some sort of experience in spending money, and I'd also assume that some of those purchases are ones that you are really proud of and others not so much. I have definitely felt both of those emotions strongly, so I thought today it'd be fun to share just some of my best and worst purchases that I think I've made so far in my 20s. I'm only 24, so I definitely have lots more time in my 20s to make good and bad choices, and in life in general. But I started assembling a list, and I think there's some good ones, some good conversation pieces here. Before diving in, if you're not already, make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, because I do plan to bring more money conversation to this channel. I think it's something that is really helpful to talking about savings, talking about budgeting, all that fun stuff. So if that's what you want to see, and all my other videos I do here, join the fam, hit subscribe and the notification bell. We're gonna start off with the worst purchases I think I've made. And I do want to just note that I don't have huge money regrets that I lose sleep over, but these are things that I think, looking back, I either don't see that I got as much value out of the item as I would have liked, and or if I were making this spending decision today, I'd probably make a different one. I try not to beat myself up about purchases that I maybe regret, because they are really good learning opportunities. The first worst purchase is absolutely new textbooks. I was definitely that student that would buy the textbook first week of school, first week of classes. There's absolutely some that are necessary, but sometimes they weren't used at all, or there were perfectly great used options available to buy on Facebook or student forums. I could have found other ways to cut those costs way down. Towards the later half of my schooling, I definitely got better with this, but I have textbooks sitting on my shelf right now that are pretty much the most expensive pieces of decor in my apartment. At least they make me look like I know things about things. I don't know. My next worst purchase is my mattress. So when my roommate moved out after graduation, I moved into her bedroom and decided to expand from a twin to a double mattress. At the time, I was buying a lot of furniture because I had to get pieces for my office and even here in the living room. So, costs were adding up, and I thought, here's a place where I can save some money. The mattress. So I bought one of the cheapest mattresses that I could find, and when I tell you it is the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever slept on, I am not exaggerating. And it just kind of breaks my heart, because to buy a mattress topper to make this mattress what I need it to be in the ideal world, it would basically cost the same amount that I spent on the mattress. So I should have just spent a little bit extra on investing in a mattress that I actually would feel good in without needing to buy all these extra add-ons. I've definitely learned my lesson though. Next time I have to buy a mattress, I will be putting a lot more care and attention into that choice and not just buying the cheapest option I can find. Impulsive knickknacks. So these are things like little decorative pieces that you put on your bookshelves or your coffee tables, your front entrance, those things that you buy with the intention of pulling your space together. And although I'm not against a good quality knickknack, I think especially once I was living on my own and filling more my apartment, I was just in a period of being so quick to buy anything that I thought would kind of work, rather than just buying the pieces that really stopped me in my tracks and made me go hard-eyed. In general, I've just become a lot more picky with what I bring into this apartment, because I don't want it filled with clutter. And I think that's gonna be something I bring with me to my next place as well, eventually whenever I move. Another worst purchase that may come as a shock is my hunter boots. I don't think that they're a worst purchase because I got a color that I don't like anymore. I actually love the dark army green that I got, and the style of them is really cute, and I think they do add something special to an outfit, but they are rain boots. And I live in Canada where it rains, but not enough to warrant a whole shoe dedicated to it at that price that I paid. Nowadays, I'd probably be more inclined to spend that kind of money on a good quality winter boot, because I'm gonna get a lot more wear out of that than a rain boot that I wear maybe a handful of times a year. Thankfully, my feet aren't growing, so I just think that this is gonna be a shoe that I have for years and years, because I really don't wear them a whole ton. They still look like brand new shoes. A couple of years ago, I had this event to go to that required me to wear a floor length dress. And I think what had happened is I had ordered one online, but I wasn't sure if it was gonna come in time. So out of precaution, I went to the local mall around me and I tried on dresses just to see if there was anything that I could get like ASAP, just to make sure I had something. And I ended up trying on this solid black gown, strapless, slit up the leg, very classic. For some reason, I don't remember why, but I remember thinking like, it's a gorgeous gown. I need this gown. I don't think it's right for this event that I have to go to, but like I should buy it so that I have it for any other future event that I need a gown for. Then I don't have to look for one. And I don't know what sorcery was happening with this dress on. I don't know. I must have like felt like on top of the world, because when do I ever have to go to an event that requires a floor length gown? I had no upcoming weddings to go to, no like actual, this wasn't based on an actual possibility of an event. This was just a theoretical, maybe one day I might want to wear this dress somewhere. I feel like that can happen though when you're on a time crunch and you're trying to find like an outfit for a bigger event. Like you can make just some really odd choices, and that was definitely one of them. So note to self, if I have something that I need an outfit for, start shopping for it as soon as possible so that you can make an informed decision and not a panicky one, or fall in love with the dress that doesn't have a purpose. Do not try on dresses that you don't need. Oh my goodness. Warranties is another one I'm adding onto this list, not because they're necessarily, like I think they're necessarily always a bad idea, but I definitely have in the past, especially for technology, for bigger ticket items, I would, end up coughing up the money for a warranty and not having any way of keeping track of the warranties I did buy, or for how long they were, or for what they covered. I would just buy it and kind of forget about it. When I do buy warranties, I'm now much more careful to make sure I have all that paperwork in one place where I know where it is, so that if something were to happen, I can actually use the services that I've paid for. When I was a student especially, I spent so much money buying coffee at places like local coffee shops, Second Cup, Starbucks, Tim Hortons. If it sold coffee, I usually visited it, and with that coffee purchase came usually like a baked good, a treat. It's no secret that those purchases add up, and honestly, I did get a lot of joy out of those coffee visits, especially as a student. You're just like clinging to anything that makes you feel happy when you are in midterm and exam season. So I'm not kicking myself for them, but I think they were more of a habit, those visits to coffee shops, than they were a special treat. And nowadays they're much more reserved as a special treat, and that has saved me a lot of money. And that actually brings me to my first best purchases of my 20, which are my coffee makers and my milk frother. Having the tools at home to make the coffee that you vibe with really curbs the temptation to go buy it elsewhere. And I really find it just a fun activity too. Like I've really gotten into making homemade lattes, and I make a really good cinnamon latte and a soy vanilla latte. It's really delicious. It also prevents me from buying like that extra croissant or that extra cookie when I'm out buying a latte, because I have a hard time stopping myself from doing that. When I see a good treat in front of me, it's like, I want. Books are absolutely some of the best ways I've spent my money, especially nonfiction books, because nonfiction books do a lot of teaching. They teach you can find books that teach you about business, finances, personal finances, self-help things like meditating and habits, and just like improving the quality of your mind. Typically, there are also books that I can go back to in the future in a way that like sometimes I don't do with fiction. I usually read it once and that's pretty much it, unless I really love it. Nonfiction, I go back to whenever I'm needing like a dose of inspiration. I typically am someone that highlights my nonfiction books, so they end up being like really helpful resources, tools for me to use at different stages of my life. As a reader, I obviously have a special love and appreciation for physical books, but my e-reader has been an even better investment for myself because it saves me money. If I buy books, they're usually a lot cheaper on ebook form than they are in physical copies. I read consistently, usually over the 50 mark in books a year. And I do not have the space in my apartment to hold that many books. Eventually one day, hopefully that's not the case and I can fill a whole room with books, but right now that is just not the case. I don't have the space for that. So e-readers really come in handy. I can also borrow ebooks from my local library through things like Libby. I borrow from the Toronto Public Library. So there's so much like cost saving, space saving benefits to an e-reader. If you like books in any form, like this is the way to do it, or at least a resource to have so that you have that option available. I've talked about and shown this backpack so much because it is one that I still use actively today, even though I'm no longer a student. It's a really good backpack for using as a carry-on for whenever we can travel again. It has a separate section to put clothes. It has a spot for my laptop. It has tons of pouches for organization. And I've like packed this bag many times to the brim and it is a trooper. It still like looks like brand new. I am obsessed with it. And I think it was around the $50 mark, which I have spent much more on backpacks before, and this one just like has been a star. I'll have it linked below. Big fan, big fan. This is one of the most expensive purchases that I've made, but definitely has proven to be a great purchase, and that's my laptop. I have a 2015 MacBook Pro. I do YouTube full-time as a content creator, and this is what I use to edit all of my videos on Final Cut Pro. It's definitely slowing down now, and I am looking to make an upgrade at some point this year, but for many years, it has been a trooper at going through a lot of video editing and photo editing and allowing me to get out videos quickly. I think whenever you're investing in your career or in your passions, there's always potential for those being really valuable purchases. And that brings me to my next note, which is my vlog camera. I have a G7X Mark II as my vlog camera, and I actually think that it's a more valuable device than my full DSLR setup. I do have a fancy DSLR setup for videos like this where I'm sitting down and I'm in one spot. But for most of my videos, I'm usually like hopping around and doing things, and it's much easier to use my vlog camera because it has a built-in mic, it's lightweight, it has a screen that flips out so I can see the shot. Don't get me wrong, the G7X Mark II isn't a cheap camera, it's on the pricier side, but to put it into context, my DSLR has a lens that I think costs the exact same or more than my whole vlog camera. So when you put it into that context, like I think there's just been a lot of videos I've been able to get out of that vlog camera that make it like one of my most treasured filming pieces of equipment. A bit of a random item on this list is a water flosser. And for those of you who've never heard of a water flosser before, it's pretty self-explanatory. It flosses your teeth with water. I am someone who does not like the sensation of traditional floss, and it often would make me not do it because I did not like the experience, but my dental hygienist actually recommended me to water flossers, and I have one that is cordless. It's super easy to use, and it's just a much better experience than the traditional flossing one for me. I am definitely more cavity prone, and this has really contributed in reducing the amount of issues that I have. I am not someone who traditionally likes to spend money on designer handbags or shoes or clothing, but where I do get a little bougie is with tech for my home, like smart home stuff. I love technology. I like devices in my home that make things just easier. I was that kid that would like watch the Shopping Channel on the weekend, or QVC if you're in the States, I think that's the equivalent one, and just be like, wow, like that device would be so convenient for the housework or for the home. And it's like, calm down, Caitlin, you're 11 years old, okay? But one of the purchases that growing up I remember seeing and just wanting one day for my parents' house, but now I have it for my apartment, is a Roomba, a robot vacuum. I purchased this as a Christmas gift for myself, and I am so glad. I'm looking at it over here right now. I am so glad it lived up to what I imagined it would be. Yes, I hate vacuuming, so this is nice that I don't have to personally do it, and that alone would in a lot of ways be worth the purchase for me. But I love the fact that while I'm working or when I do errands, I can have this device go off and keep up with the maintenance of keeping my floors clean. I feel like I talk about a lot how my apartment has lots of dark flooring, and you see everything when it's dark. Like, you just see every fleck of dust, especially on the tile in the kitchen, every crumb, every piece of hair that falls off of my head. Like, I see it and it drives me up the wazoo. So I run this thing every 2 to 3 days, and it just helps maintain things, so I never feel like I get like irritated by all the things on my floor. Obviously, if that doesn't bother you as much, then you're not gonna really get as much out of this vacuum, because you do still need to, you know, every week or week and a half do a regular vacuum to get like baseboard stuff or any like crevices, but it is so good. It is so good. I feel like I'd be making a large mistake in not mentioning that one of the best purchases has also been my journals that I use for my bullet journal. Right now I'm using an Archer and Olive dotted notebook, which is definitely more on the pricier side in the dotted notebook category, but it's a very high quality paper journal. The cover is beautiful. It's a journal that I love using, and because I love the look of it and feel special when I open it, it makes me more inclined to actually be consistent with it as a tool for planning, as a tool for self-reflection. That's not to say that there's not beautiful, stunning journals at so many different price points, but this has been one that allows me to use a lot of different materials in it, because the paper quality is so good that I don't have to worry about things bleeding through. I can use paint if I want. I can use like really crazy markers, any sort of pen I desire, and they are journals that are filled with a lot of personal thoughts that I will probably look back on in years to come. So I feel like they have been more than worth the investment. So that is just a sample of some of my best and worst purchases of my 20s so far. What is one of your best or worst purchases that you've made in life so far? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know if there are any other financial videos you'd like to see me talk about. Like the video if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe and the notification bell if you haven't already, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. And until then, bye everyone. I should have put my leggings on this list. 2020, I've never worn leggings so much in my life. Really got my value out of those. Oh, it's sad.